So in front of me here, I've got an arrow that we use for our beginners archery classes. So you can see we've had one of the fletches come off. So I'm going to go through how to repair the fletch and the tools we use to do that. So first thing you're going to need is a fletching jig. This is the Bitzenburger fletching jig. If you're going to look at fletching arrows, this is kind of the buy once, forget about it jig. I've had this for 6 or 7 years now, it works really well. You can get a straight clamp like this one here, or you can also get a helical clamp if you're wanting to change the angle of your fletches. Easy to adjust the offset with these 2 screws on the front here. You can actually pivot the angle of the clamp left to right. So today we've just got it set at a slight left offset, just for repairing the beginner arrows. So if we look at this fletch, there's a slight bit of residue left over by the old vein and the glue. So we're going to have to get that off first. So this is a zip strip by Norway Industries. There's a couple of different arrow strippers out there, but these are really good because especially if you're trying to clean off an expensive arrow like a Pro Tour or an X10, you don't want to use a knife and then gouge bits out of the carbon, whereas this gives you a flat surface. So you're just going to run that along the arrow like that. Get off a fair bit of the excess. Next thing we're going to use is acetone, which is good to clean off the extra little bits of glue that are still stuck to the shaft. So you just want to pour that onto a little rag, just a little bit's needed. Wipe that down the inside of the shaft. Seal it up so don't knock it over. Now with this jig, there's a little receiver inside the jig here for your knock. So we're just going to slide our knock down inside that jig, like so, until it clamps in place. Going to use this little tool at the bottom here to rotate the arrow to the next fletch. We take our clamp, put our fletch into the clamp like so. And we just adjust that fletch until it's the same height as the others currently on the arrow, because we want it to match the existing fletches. That's pretty good. Now when we apply glue to the vein, this is just a Loctite 401. A Max Bond is really good too. There's a whole bunch of different glues out there. The main thing you want is something that is a very quick adhesive, but something that's not going to crystallize and get all fragile, because you want it to have a little bit of flex. There's cheaper Loctites that I have used in the past, which will work really well for about 6 months, 9 months, and then you'll start having fletches coming off your arrows because the glue crystals start to kind of disintegrate. So something with a bit of flex is really, really good. When we're gluing onto the fletch, you want to use less than you think. So just tiny little beads of glue. Go down the arrow. If you use too much glue, it's easy for little air bubbles to form, and the glue will all kind of goop out over the side of the fletch as well. So just a small amount is all we need. Then just run your finger along the side of the fletch to make sure there's no extra. You can also use a small Allen key if you want to kind of wipe it off so it sits in that little groove on the fletch. And all we're going to do is put it into the jig, push down, keep even pressure with our fingers on there for a couple of seconds just to make sure it dries. Pull off our clamp. Now you can see our fletch is attached to the arrow shaft. The next thing, this is probably one of the most important parts, especially for the beginner arrows, is we top and tail them with a little bit of glue. So we're just going to put a dab of glue on the bottom of the fletch, just down here, and a bit of glue on the top. So what that's going to do is make sure that when you shoot these arrows, the back or the front doesn't lift, or if you shoot it and it goes through a target or misses and gets a bit of grass in there, the Fletch stays flush to the arrow shaft, so it's not going to lift up during flight. And that's pretty much it as far as fletching with vanes. A couple of other tips if you are fletching target arrows or high performance kind of arrows, depending on the offset you want to use. So when I talk about offset, I'm talking about angling these screws to change the way the clamp is sitting on the Fletch. You always want some kind of offset, so you don't want to put your vanes on straight. Just a little bit, 1 or 2 degrees is plenty. You can experiment with that to see which works best. If you're not sure which way to offset your arrows, generally a left offset will fit most arrows you're using. If you wanted to test this, if you get a bare shaft and draw a line across the top of the arrow, shoot it at 5 meters and shoot it again at about 6 or 7 meters, you'll be able to see which way the arrow is rotating, and then you can fletch your offset in the same angle as the arrow is actually rotating, so you know your fletches are rotating the same angle as the arrow. It's not super critical, but it'll just give you that extra little bit of accuracy as well. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe, or you can see more products at elizaarchery.com.